Good. Let me know you're ready.
Hi, my name is Montasia Wilson, and today I'll be giving you an informative speech about Harriet Tubman. Underground Railroad. She was the Moses of the Underground Railroad. Today I'll be giving you an information about Harriet Minty Tubman. There are three main ideas about Harriet Tubman I will discuss. I will start by discussing her background, then I will move on to discuss her role in the Underground Railroad. Finally, I will finish by informing you about her impact on American history. So let me start by beginning to tell you about Harriet's background. Armentia Minty Ross was born in Dorchester County, MD, into slavery. She was born into slavery with her mother, her father, and her siblings. Armentia suffered from a serious head injury as a child. As a child, she was working in the house, and her brother, her sibling, did something, and the slave master threw an iron metal piece at her head and hit her in her head. This caused her to feel like she would daze out and have these visions from God. She thought God was speaking to her, but it was actually narcolepsy. Armentia had the opportunity to change her name in the year 1845 to Harriet Tubman. So on the plantation, Harriet Tubman was married to a man, John Tubman. He was a free slave while she was a slave on the plantation. They still allowed them to get married. So when she became free, she changed her name to his last name. So now let's move on to discuss her role in the Underground Railroad. This is the Underground Railroad and some of the routes that they took. The blue is the slave states. The yellow is free states and territories. And then the arrows are the Underground Railroads that they took. So they were traveling this miles and miles, sometimes feet. She traveled 100 miles on foot to get free as a slave. And people didn't believe she did it or how she did it. She was one of the conductors of the Underground Railroad. She had become so good at conducting the railroad that they gave her her own route. And it was normally men that was initiated into the Underground Railroad. But one day they called her in and gave her her own wall where they wrote down how many slaves she freed and the route she needed to take to free the slaves. Every trip was dangerous. A dangerous journey, but it meant freedom. She'd rather have freedom than death. That was one of her quotes. This is a picture of her. When she freed so many slaves, which was 70, her first passage, they took this picture of her. They wanted her to be more feminine, but she did not want to. She wanted to show that she was strong, wasn't weak. The routes and safe houses were passed with one word and song. She was known for her beautiful voice. And so when she came back to go get her family, because she left her siblings there, when she went back to go get some of them, she would sing because she was being looked for. They thought she was a guy. They would call her Moses. Like on wanted pictures, they were looking for a guy, but it was actually her. So when she went back to the plantation, she would sing a song. And her mom knew her voice, and so nobody else knew it. So that's how she let her family get led to where she was and become free. Finally, I will be informing you about her impact on American history. Harriet led more than 300 fugitive slaves to freedom. Well, she led 300 slaves to freedom, each by foot, and sometimes on boat. And sometimes giving herself away and still getting free. Harriet helped ensure the final defeat of slavery.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
So Harriet helped ensure the final defeat of slavery. She was actually not only the conductor, as the nickname, she was actually a conductor in the Army. She was a cook and a nurse for the Union Army. She started becoming leading the the slaves and the army to fight for slaves. So she would go out with the army with a gun to people that were still enslaving slaves and go fight them. Well, I just told you the aspects of Harriet Minty Tubman's life. I started by giving you information on her background. Then I informed you about her role in the Underground Railroad. And lastly, I gave you information about her impact on American history. Harriet Tubman made such an impact on the world because of her bravery. She helped slaves recover from freedom. Slaves recover freedom and had a role in women's suffrage. When you hear Underground Railroad, you automatically think of her. Thank you.